Welcome to the player2.net.au video review of Dragon Quest Heroes, the World Tree's Woe and the Blight Below. As a huge fan of the Dragon Quest series, I was of two minds about Dragon Quest Heroes before I began playing it. On the one hand, the power of the PS4 means that Akira Toriyama's distinctive art style looks better than it has since 2006's 360 exclusive Blue Dragon. On the other hand, I've never been a fan of the Dynasty Warriors series, and make no mistake, at times Dragon Quest Heroes definitely feels like a Dynasty Warriors game in a Dragon Quest skin, albeit with a few concessions. Developed by Omega Force and published by Square Enix, DQ Heroes follows the story of Lucius and Aurora, two young bodyguards employed by Doric, the King of Arbor. When a dark wizard unleashes evil magic and turns all of the previously friendly monsters into foes, it's up to them to save their kingdom and the world from this sinister plot. In a nutshell, the story is a poster child for JRPG cliches, stretching thin in some areas while taking nonsensical turns in others, and more often than not plotting towards conclusions that you can see coming miles away. To be fair, the same could be said for many of the main series Dragon Quest games, but what they lack in originality, they make up for in charm by the bucket load. Dragon Quest Heroes is a charming game. There really is no other way to put it. From the awful puns to the barrage of alliterations in character and item descriptions to the monster design themselves, it's hard to dislike any of the aesthetic elements, most notably the fantastic score, which is so good it even comes with a warning about streaming it. Dual protagonists Lucius and Aurora are likeable, if somewhat shallow characters, although I have to say Aurora wins in my book simply because of her bullheadedness and lack of patience for the careful planning Lucius tries to apply in every situation.
Listen carefully. I will circle around to the rear of the castle and assess the situation. You, meanwhile, will approach from the front.
You want to follow some long-winded plan? Thanks, but no thanks. We're royal guards, so let's guard some royals. We need to find King Doric right now.
Huh? Wait! Headstrong fools. Does she mean to fight them all off on her own?
The roster is padded out by a number of other Dragon Quest characters from previous titles in glorious HD, many of who have me pining for updated releases of their respective games. Dragon Quest 4, 5 and 8 are most heavily represented for those curious. Dragon Quest Heroes is roughly structured like a Dynasty Warriors game, with some interesting new mechanics and many features that are lifted from the Dragon Quest series proper. The overworld map is split between story missions and side missions, although there are many boss and map challenges available even before the New Game Plus becomes an option. One complaint I do have is that maps are much more modest in size when compared to a traditional Warriors game, leading to shorter, less involved levels. While there are some stages that require traipsing around a map repeatedly, it never feels as dynamic as it does in the Dynasty series or even the Zelda-themed Hyrule Warriors. More often than not, missions involve defending an object or area from multiple fronts. This might sound extremely tiresome, but Dragon Quest Heroes does have a few tricks up its sleeve to somewhat alleviate this repetition. Firstly, rather than being stuck with a single character during a mission, Dragon Quest Heroes lets the player form a party of 4 and switch between members on the fly. Each hero has a set of unique attacks suited to different scenarios. For example, Yangus is great for cutting down defense on an enemy, while Bianca can attack multiple enemies from a distance using her bow. On the hardest levels, it's important to use the whole range of your party to finish challenges as efficiently as possible. Secondly, Dragon Quest Heroes allows the use of monster medals. These items sometimes drop after defeating an enemy and let you summon them to your aid, although the effect depends on the monster. Some provide buffs while others can be used to defend the area they're deployed in. While the amount of medal slots is quite limited at the start, completing a specific side quest chain will increase them. One shortcoming is that monster medals are beneficial in missions requiring area defense and fairly useless throughout the rest of the game. Finally, the crafting system comes in a distinctly Dragon Quest flavor. That's right, the alchemy pot, monster dropped recipes, and common to rare ingredients are all required to craft some of the best items and equipment in the game. While not as robust as similar crafting systems found in other titles, it's wise to spend some time with the alchemist to fine-tune your gear for sticky situations. Overall, Dragon Quest Heroes, much like Hyrule Warriors, is a great offering for fans of the source material, especially as it's one of the better spin-offs available. That said, it's harder to recommend the game to straight-up Dynasty Warriors fans. With the amount of Dragon Quest trappings and significant changes to the gameplay, Dragon Quest Heroes might prove an underwhelming experience. Dragon Quest Heroes was reviewed using a digital code provided by publisher Bandai Namco. It's available now for the PlayStation 4 and will be coming to PC in early December.